Welcome to Red Sox Digest, the only show where pain, sarcasm, and a dash of hope collide nightly like a Trevor Story strikeout. We cover every loss, every meltdown, and yes, even the rare win, with brutally honest takes and zero front office fluff. Subscribe today at RedSoxDigest.com or risk being left out in the cold like a home game in April. And now, here's the crew at Red Sox Digest.
Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Red Sox Digest. I am your host tonight, Jim Delfino. And folks, before we get into the Red Sox, I'd like to apologize in advance because tonight's episode may cause dizziness, nausea, and extreme eye rolling from staring at rumor tweets that go absolutely nowhere. If you or a loved one has been exposed to Craig Breslow's off-season press conferences, you may be entitled to emotional damages and compensation. I spent the last 48 hours doom-scrolling Red Sox Twitter like a raccoon in a Dunkin' dumpster. Yankee fans are already crowning themselves, Orioles fans are doing victory laps, and I'm sitting here like, cool, can we get a right-handed bat, or are we still monitoring the market like it's a patient in a coma? Joining me tonight is Nick Face. Nick is fired up tonight, which means he's either had 3 coffees or read one tweet that he didn't agree with and is now prepared to argue with Terry the Toad. Nick hates losing, hates patience, and hates when the Red Sox say, we like our internal options, because he knows that there's front office code for please don't look at the payroll. And joining us tonight for the first time as an official co-host is John Martinello. Yes, that John Martinello, the man, the myth, and the walking retweet button. John has 1,584 posts, and somehow all of them are quotes of someone else. If journalism were baseball, John would lead the league in assists. The guy doesn't break news. He gently tucks it in at night and whispers, wowza. This is a man who saw Pete Alonso go to the Orioles and tweeted, the Orioles, wowza. Like he's just found out Pluto isn't a planet again. John is also the only human alive who refers to Craig Breslow like he's introducing royalty. Yale graduate, relief pitcher, World Series champ, my PBO. John has already convinced himself that Red Sox secretly acquired Ketel Marte and just forgot to tell everyone, which honestly tracks because this front office loves stealth moves, and nothing is stealth like nothing actually happened. Let's get into it. Tonight's show is all about rumors, whispers, vibes, and absolutely zero movement. Pete Alonso, gone. Kyle Schwarber, gone. The Orioles just got better. The Yankees are lurking, and the Red Sox are standing in the corner like we're still exploring paths. Paths to what, Craig? A scenic overlook? A walking trail? Because the rest of the division is buying sports cars, and we're price-checking a used bike with no seat. We've heard Corey Seager, Ketel Marte, Brandon Donovan, Isaac Paredes. At this point, the Red Sox have discussed more players than a fantasy baseball group chat at 2 a.m. And every time Breslow speaks, it's the same script, measured, calm, intelligent, and completely useless. The front office talks like they're negotiating a peace treaty. Meanwhile, fans just want someone who can hit 30 home runs and not need 3 PowerPoint slides to explain why he might fit in 2026. So tonight, we're breaking it all down, why the Red Sox are allergic to urgency, why flexibility has become a 4-letter word, and whether this offseason ends with an actual impact bat or another inspirational quote from the Yale School of Baseball Economics. And with that, it is time for Nick Face's Word of the Day.
And now it's time for Nick Face's Word of the Day!
Anger. That's the word of the day. This has been a frustrating week kind of to digest what is going on with this team. And it just seems like it gets worse and worse as we keep on progressing here for the offseason with rumors of maybe Bregman wants a 5-6 year deal. Maybe we're not into Bo Bichette. Maybe we just want to punt and not be a good baseball team. I think that's the theme that we're facing right now. And fans have full right to be angry. I don't care if it's not before Christmas right now. Last offseason, we already had Garrett Crochet and at least some things were going down. Now, we haven't even signed a free agent. Haven't even signed a free agent. How does that sound? Just awful. So yeah, I would say anger. If you're in that realm of kind of not agreeing and just being as frustrated as I am with what this organization is trying to do, you have full right to be. I liked your little monologue, Jim Carson, that you gave right there before you let us speak here. And one of the things that stood out to me is you talked about me being angry with tweets or something like that. And to my surprise, I was actually before the show in a really good conversation piece going back with my buddy Ballpark Buzz. And sometimes we disagree on things, but I'm still friends with Micah and everything from stuff from afar. We're professional about it. And he had an interesting tweet, and I have to say, it made me think about it. And his tweet was about, if you were John Henry, why would you sign a big long-term free agent deal? Look at how many deals it burned him. He's right with exactly what he's saying. I mean, if you look at the deals of Pablo Sandoval, Carl Crawford, Chris Sale, the list can go on on it. There's more bad than there's good. We went over a couple that we said JD Martinez was a good name. I dated it back to 2004. I even put Kevin Millar, and I know it's not a huge deal, but Kevin Millar, and he came.
JD
Bill
Drew.
Miller, JD Drew. I still to this day am not a JD Drew fan, but if you want to have him in the good category, go ahead, because at least he gave you something and helped win 2007. I agree with it. The David Price deal is the last large deal that has been given out for a free agent for the Red Sox, and it had its ups and downs. I think at the end of the day, we're grateful that we were able to get 2018 out of it, but I didn't enjoy David Price's tenure here. I wanted him gonzo as quick as that could be. Out of all the free agents, I have to say, since 2000, Manny Ramirez is single-handedly the best move this organization has ever made. That was every penny was worth the dollar on that deal. And if you come to think about all the other deals that have transpired, I think the only one that comes second to that, it's JD Martinez.
100%.
And that's it. The mic's dropped on that. I don't think there's any more arguments that we can have on what free agent has actually paid the most out of the deal, or that John Henry got the most out of the deal for, than those two. I know Manny was inherited by Dan Duquette in past ownership, but overall, yeah, the guy's been burnt. I don't blame him, but you know what? When you're the owner, you got to gamble on yourself too. Don't just sit there and put your and twiddle your thumbs and say, "Oh, we tried. We're not doing it again." Different philosophy. You got to get out there and you got to try something again, because you can't keep doing what you're doing right now. It's been over 6 years now of crap. C-R-A-P. That can be the other word of the night. Crap. And now with that, let's go to John.
Well, before we do, John, I just want to let everybody know Nick's Word of the Day is brought to you by John Henry's Printer, now featuring conditional ink technology. This advanced printer refuses to print any contract unless the player is under 31 years of age, agrees to a 1 or 2 year deal, and is currently rehabbing from Tommy John or some other season-ending injury. Warning lights may flash if the words guaranteed years, market value, or healthy starter are detected. John Henry's Printer prints rumors flawlessly, jams the moment commitment is required. And now our new segment, the Martinello Minute.
And now the part they don't want said out loud. No spreadsheets or corporate spin, just the truth, raw and impatient. This is the Martinello Minute.
Welcome in, John.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for getting me onto the show. So yeah, I mean, first off, Craig Breslow, for all the crap that he's taken from us and everybody else over social media over the past couple weeks. He's made 9 trades this offseason. A lot of them have included guys that are going to be on the 40-man roster, guys that are going to be playing for the Red Sox this season. So he's putting in the work. Is it good work? I can't really agree with that. But as far as the whole offseason goes so far, I'm not hitting the panic button just yet. There's an uncomfortable amount of uneasiness that I feel. But, the reality is Breslow could still re-sign Bregman. He could still go ahead and sign Okamoto before his post date's over. And for what it's worth, there's little to no smoke on Okamoto, which makes me feel really good about him. The Red Sox chances of signing him. So I believe that he's a part of Breslow's plan, and the Red Sox can still go ahead, trade for Ketel Marte or one of the other Japanese bats, and Munetaka Murakami. And then as far as pitching goes, there's still Michael King out there, who I think is the only guy that has been linked to Boston. And he's really just begging for the Red Sox to give him a legitimate offer. And then the Red Sox still have 3 outfielders that are available for trade. The scariest thing to me at this point in time is really just if another team comes in for a real offer on Bregman, a real offer on Okamoto, a real offer on Michael King. Are the Red Sox gonna tack on? Are they going to add another year? Are they going to match an offer? That I'm not confident in whatsoever. And at the end of the day, there's 2 months before spring training starts. So there's still time for Breslow to kind of do his work, and for us to all wake up on the first day of spring training and say that he had a good offseason.
Yeah, I mean, both valid points. I still worry about if they're going to spend some large dollars, and that's where it kind of leads us into tonight's talking points. I know that you started already mentioning about Michael King. So just to kind of reiterate what's been going on, Sox are still in the mix on Michael King. He's a free agent, right-handed. Michael King has narrowed his decision to 3 teams, and Boston is still very much in this group, alongside the Yankees and Orioles, according to multiple outlets. Sox fans have reason to be cautiously optimistic, especially with King being a local guy and a Boston College alumni. So the question I have for you guys, John, I'll start with you. Do you think that Michael King's skill set fits well in Boston better than any other rotational option right now? Or is this just kind of like one of those nice stories that's not going to amount to anything?
Yeah, I mean, as far as Michael King goes, I think that he blends really well into the Bailey pitching lab, if you even want to call it a lab. But he relies heavily on a sweeper. He relies heavily on sinker and the cutter. So I think as far as that goes, he'd be a good fit here. But at the end of the day, when the dollars have to be put on the table, I don't have faith in Craig Breslow or John Henry to open up the pockets and spend on him.
Nick, take it to you. What's your thoughts on Michael King? Do you want him in this rotation, or is this just another, inquiring mind magazine at the checkout counter?
I don't really know why we're kind of even talking about him right now, because I don't think he's better than what you got right now. I don't. I think that if you look at what he's done through his career, he was a reliever for a little bit with the Yankees. I'm not taking those numbers away, but it was really his first season as a starter was 2023, I want to say. He got a little bit of starting time. 4-8. He had a 2.75 ERA. Again, he split some time between rotation and bullpen. The Padres then signed him. He went 13-9 in 2024. Had a 2.95. He finished 7th overall in the Cy Young award-winning vote. He threw 173.2 innings that season. Not taking those numbers away, but then he was hurt last season with the Padres, and the Padres don't really want him back. So I'm looking at this and saying, does he move the needle in your rotation? No, he does not. I would rather give the innings to Peyton Tolley or a Conley Early or something there. I don't think that this is something that the Red Sox should look into. I don't. I wish him all the best. This isn't me knocking him by any means, but there are other fish out there, and I just don't think he makes this team better. I just don't. What is another 4 or 5 guy? I don't see him higher than a 3. Is he better than Bayo? It's a coin flip for me on that. So I pass. I pass on Michael King. I'm not interested.
Yeah, interesting take. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just wondering, he is 30 years old, so we know that's going to be a issue for John Henry and for Craig Breslow to give them any kind of a long-term deal. I'm just looking up here as a comparison to get some ideas of similarities. I just don't think you're going to be much better than a Nick Pivetta. Is that even a good comp? I'm trying to look here at like a side by side. I don't know, because I mean, if you weren't, my point is, if you weren't willing to give Nick Pivetta a contract who excelled in Boston and did fairly well, if you want to call it well, what
why give it to
difference?
him?
Is he really the same guy? And what's it going to cost to get Michael King here? John, what do you think that contract looks like if they did go after him?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the Nick Pivetta comparison, I think that's at the end of the day, I think that's kind of spot on. I'd put him a tick above Nick. And as far as a contract goes, back in October, Jeff Passan put out a report on, what he thought the market looks like for a lot of these free agents. And he put Michael King in the $120 million range. So compared to what Dylan Cease signed for and for what other guys like a Framber Valdez, what they're projected for at this moment, I think he's going to be a tick, obviously $100 million below what Cease was. And I'd expect Framber to go out in the $150, $170 million range. So I just think that, I think he'd make the team better. I kind of disagree with Nick there on that point, but I don't think that he's that solidified number two that Breslow talked about before the season started. And I don't think that he's, is he the game two starter in a division series, in a championship series? He could be, but he hasn't proved it due to health and due to just the lack of time that he spent as a starting pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, both of you have really good points on that. I'm pro Michael King only to the point that and Nick, I hear what you're saying about Tolley or Early. I'm not convinced on those guys. I got to be honest with you. It's not that I didn't like what I saw. I don't like the idea of throwing them into the rotation and into this deep mix in October and September that they did. And they had no alternative but to turn to them because of the nature of the injuries that they had in the pitching department over the course of the season. I mean, from Richard Fitz to Hunter Dobbins, you can go right down that line, and they were not any number one choice to be promoted. They were promoted because you failed to have the best depth in the starting rotation that you should have had. And Michael King is 2 years removed from 177 innings. That's the one thing that I do like about it, because I'm feeling like maybe he could give us the innings that we need as more of a number 4 or number 5 type guy. But again, what that does is it puts Bayo or it puts Gray as your 1 or 2, or as your 2 or 3. And I don't have a lot of faith and like in that. My overall take of it is this: I would take him because I feel like I'm like looking for that last toy on Christmas morning and I can't find it, but I'm not going to be jumping for joy with him. But I do think if you added him today, he's better than where you were yesterday. That's all I want to say, on that. I'm bringing up a little bit on him here because I try to use a quick comp on King and Pivetta. Obviously there is some similarities in some of these things. I mean, Pivetta's career ERA is higher. The ERA plus for Michael King is better. The ERA is better. He doesn't walk as many people. And this actually is their age 24 to 30 season. Nick Pivetta is obviously older and he's pitched more, but this gives you an idea where King fits in with Pivetta. It's obviously not the best comp in the world, but we'll see how it goes. I just feel like we need something to happen sooner than later, and I'm hoping that, maybe it will go that way.
To say the other reason why I am not for Michael King is because I still have my list on getting a solidified number 2 guy here. If you go and just find Michael King, that means that you are completely bypassing getting another guy that you could anchor in this rotation with Crochet. We know what's happened with our championship teams. We've had a 1A and a 1B. If they go into this season without their 1B, turn it off. Turn it off, guys, because it's not going to go well. I'm gonna be as tough can be on this. They have to get a solidified number 2 guy when this season begins. And if they don't, this offseason is a complete, utter failure yet again.
Moving along to our next topic, obviously has been talked about quite a bit. Ketel Marte, the trade interest is there. Right now, it doesn't appear to be anything close. Boston has reportedly checked in on Diamondback second baseman Ketel Marte, one of the better all-around bats on the market, but insiders say nothing is close yet, and other teams are circling as well. Question, I'll start, Nick, with you. Would Marte be a game changer for this lineup? And do you think something with him is going to materialize in earnest?
We talked about it on our show that we did. I think it was before Thanksgiving or something like that, but I'm still very concerned here on if Marte can even play here in the Boston market. And I also see a team at the Diamondbacks giving up on him when he's hands down the best second baseman in baseball. They want to move on from that. That just screams red flag to me. And then we've heard the rumors that the Diamondbacks are interested in Bregman. So the only way I think that this would go down, I don't see the Diamondbacks having Marte and Bregman on the roster. I don't see it happening. So something would have to materialize with, that's interesting. Something would have to materialize with the Boston market with a nice rotisserie chicken, which that rotisserie chicken would probably be Alex Bregman because that's what he's made of. And they would have to they'd have to trade Ketel Marte to the Red Sox, and then the Diamondbacks would likely then sign Bregman. But it makes absolutely no sense. Why are you ridding yourself of a big contract with Marte? I know it's not like extravagant in terms of money, and then just go back and put Bregman there? Make that make sense to me. It doesn't. It screams like Scott Boras is desperate right now, desperate to find a sucker. And I don't think the Red Sox want to be that sucker. I think the Red Sox are being adamant with it's no more than a two-year deal with incentives, 2-year deal with referred money attached to it. I think that's as high as they're going. So I think that they're trying to figure out, okay, what they're going to do next. And that's why this is a waiting game right now. But overall here with Marte, I like the player. Don't get me wrong. I think that he excels in markets where there's not big pressure. And I am concerned about, is he mentally tough enough to play here? Because we had this past season with a fan from the Cleveland Guardians, They said something about his mom or something that was on the field. I don't even think it was derogatory or anything of that nature. And he just went into a whole mental tirade over it. Understandably, because he had lost his mom. Jim, you've lost yours. I've lost mine. I get it. It's emotional and stuff like that. But for me, I guess as a baseball guy, I tried my best when I was playing to block out the crowd as best I could. Sometimes I wear earplugs just so I didn't have to listen to it or listen to, the fans, the parents, the students, whatever it was, and just kind of focused on the now, focused on the game. So I don't know if there's some sort of focus issue or he can't just flush it away and just focus on his play overall, especially at the Diamondbacks. I know they've been in the big stage a couple times. They had the World Series and stuff, but for the most part, I would say the Diamondbacks are nowhere near the market that the Red Sox are. So that's where my concern would be overall. And then you'd have to part ways with prospects. I know prospects are prospects. I get it, but I really don't want to trade Peyton Tolley and Conley Early for Ketel Marte when I have questions there. I'm only going to trade those guys if I know I'm getting a bona fide, legit guy I have no concerns with whatsoever playing here in Boston. So that's where my stance is on that.
Yeah, look, I mean, totally agree with everything that you said. I think the bigger issue for me and the head scratcher, obviously, we know Bregman lives in that area. So, if you want to try to say it makes sense, I get it. They did the same thing with Corbin Burns, right? I mean, he lived in that area. So,
And
you
Jordan
know,
Montgomery with
yep.
Boston a couple of
They're
years ago.
sneaky. They're a
Yeah.
sneaky organization. You never hear anything about what's going on.
No, but what doesn't add up to me is the level of fire sale that they had last year. When you talk about, getting rid of Eugenio Suarez and their pitching, and of course, Zach Allen's a free agent now and so forth, it just doesn't seem like the right move for them, because you're telling me that you're going to spend 170 million on Alex Bregman coming off an injury, but then you want to go and trade, arguably the best offensive second baseman in baseball away, who is on a extremely team-friendly deal at about 19 or 17 million per season. So I don't know how that adds up. I like when you said I like the player, I like the player's numbers for the position that he plays, but we may not like the intestinal fortitude of the player. John, what's your take on Ketel Marte? Do you want him here? Do you not? And where do you see this going?
I mean, I'll start to where I see it going. At this point, I don't really see it going anywhere. I know you hinted at my tweet from a couple of weeks ago in the intro when I said that I thought he was already on the Red Sox. At this point in time, I just don't think that it's going to happen. Just for how long these conversations have been going. It went from Carabas tweeting in all caps about something's happening to now that we're at exploratory talks. If he were to come here, you're giving up a Marcelo Meyer, you're going to be giving up a Peyton Tolley or Connolly Early, and then probably another pitching prospect beyond that, which I know, Boston's got a ton of pitching in the works now in the minor leagues, but I think that you're giving up too much for a guy who's going to be in his age 32 season. Maybe you get one outlier, top 5 MVP season out of him over the rest of his contract. But, for the time being, for the next 2 years, I think it's a great add to the team. But beyond that, those final 4 years of the contracts, I don't think that he helps you at all. But, if the Red Sox were to land him tomorrow morning and we saw the Jeff Passan tweet, I wouldn't be upset about it.
Moving right along, and I think this kind of like really piggybacks off the last conversation, is about Bo Bichette. Now, I'm going to take credit. I said about Bo Bichette back, I think I'd have to look at the date of the tweet, but it's out there. And I had said, why not just pivot from Bregman to Bo Bichette? So talks and positional flexibility. New reports suggest Bo Bichette could be willing to shift positions to second base and that Boston has interest, though this comes with health and market competition caveats. Here's my thing. He is now, with Alonso is off the board, he would be my number one choice. And to Nick's point about giving up prospects, even though we don't know the really value of what those guys are going to be, Bo Bichette does not cost you prospects. Bo Bichette just costs you money. And as a result of that, you keep your guys. So, John, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Bo Bichette. Do you want him here? What position does he play? And how do you see him fitting into that lineup? Before you answer, I do find it very interesting that he is saying that he would play second base. So what does that really mean, guys? Does that mean he doesn't have the market that he thought he was going to have? Or do teams not view him as a shortstop and don't want to pay that money?
Yeah, I mean, so as far as the second base thing goes, I think it's pretty clear that he's a negative defender. Just on his Savant page, he's in the first percentile for outs above average this past season at -13. So defensively, as it goes, I think it's a good thing that his camp is kind of put out there that he's willing to move positions. If he were to sign with Boston, I think that he'd definitely be at second base. I think you put Marcelo Meyer at third, and then the rest of whether you want to trade for a first baseman or sign a first baseman. I think that's where kind of the focus shifts to. And I think that if you sign Bo Bichette, the Bregman talks kind of go out the door. Yeah, I mean, he's the type of player that moves the needle for me. I'd love to have him here. He's 27 years old going into his age 28 season. He's, with the age concerns that the Red Sox have with every single free agent, he checks off that box. And he's a clutch hitter. He hits for a little bit of power. He'll have a tremendous help with the Green Monster. And I think that at second base, it fills a gap that's been open since 2018 or 17, whenever Pedroia got cleated by Machado. So I think that he fills a hole. He fills a need for a right-handed bat in the lineup. He has a little bit of pop on his hands, and he's on the right side of the age of 30.
Nick, your thoughts before you answer. The other thing about Bo Bichette, okay, 628 plate appearances, 582 at-bats, 91 strikeouts. The year before, he was injured, 64 strikeouts. He makes contact, Nick. He gets hits. He's led the league in hits in 21 and 22. There's so much to like with him. And even for the scaredy cat that John Henry is, you give him a 7-year deal. He's 35. It's not going to be an albatross in my mind.
I am team Bo Bichette over Alex Bregman all the way, guys. I am. I like the positional versatility as well between what you could do with Trevor Story, because we already know he can play second base, Trevor Story. Bo Bichette's never played there, so maybe there's some sort of, Bo's going to do the short, and then Trevor Story moves over to second base because he's aging out of that position or whatnot. I was just looking overall at his defensive metrics and stuff like that, just to see overall what his career was. So last season, he had 132 games that he played at short. I see 12 errors there. I see 240 assists. He had 1,139 innings that were played there. So I don't see why people are so concerned, I would say, on the defense there for Bo after looking at everything. I do know in 2021 and 2022, he had 24 and 23 errors. But we have seen a drastic change from him, number one, in maturity, understanding the league, and getting better at his position. So all these nerds out there say, oh, he's not a shortstop. Just chill. He's still a kid. He was learning how to come up into the league. Look at Devers when he came up. That was a joke. He looked like a beached whale over at third. Come on. So I'm fine if Bo Bichette is going to be at short. I have no issue whatsoever with it. Let him play. Bring him to Boston. Give him a 7-year, $200 million deal. I know the rumor out there was 5 for $150. Sweeten the deal, John. 7 for $200. And you will love the move. It'll be one of the best infielders that you have had for a free agent signing on your team. And we all were wondering back in 2004, was it going to be Orlando Cabrera or Edgar Renteria? We're not going to Edgar Renteria this one, John. We're not going to do that. So we're even not going to Julio Lugo this. God bless his soul, because he's no longer with us. This is going to be this would be a top-notch move to make, to win over your fan base and to make me stop being an angry elf.
So a little overlay here. Bo Bichette and Xander Bogaerts after their first 7 seasons. We look at this just really quickly. The WAR, very close, just a slight edge to Xander. Games played, obviously, Bo had some injuries there, so that's going to make a big difference with games and plate appearances. 100 hits less. I typically could see over the lifetime of a contract him having more hits than Xander. Home runs after 7 years, Bo has just a couple more, but it's a notable, interesting number there. RBIs, well, Xander was more in RBI lineups. He was in those slots that had more runners on. So Bo being at the more top of the lineup, it's not a negative. Obviously, Bo a little bit more speed. A few more stolen bases there. Better career batting average after 7 years. On base is very close. Slugging OPS and OPS plus obviously takes that. I think you're getting a guy that, for all the defensive criticism that Bichette could be getting from you. Let's not let's not lose sight that Xander was not a Gold Glove shortstop either. And I know we're talking about the possibility of him playing second, but I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be adequate. And to your point, Nick, if he goes out and we sign him, that will completely absolve Breslow and Henry from this nonsense of off seasons that we've had over the course of the last 6 or 7 years. He will be the impact dynamic player, better than Bregman, long-term, wrap him up, make him and Anthony the centerpiece of this offensive unit moving forward. Any further points, gentlemen, on Bo at all?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a tweet, might have been a week ago at this point, but don't know, can't remember who it was from, but they said that the market on Bregman and Bo Bichette was, I think it was a 5-year 170 for Bregman and 5-year 150 for Bo.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you have, if that's the case, you absolutely have to be all over that. But I find it hard to believe that that's the market for the two players. I think that if anything, it would just be the opposite. But if you could get Bo Bichette for $150 million on a 5-year deal, that should have been done already with Breslow and with John Henry.
I think it was John Morosi that tweeted that out. I think it was on Monday, and I had to do a double take, much like you guys did too. And I'm like, no, Bo's this and Bregman's that. I'm like, no. So that's when I just looked at it and I said, you got to sign Bo now, today, get it done.
It's a no-brainer. The one thing I want to just circle back on my question from earlier. Do you think the fact that he's opened up and said that he would play second base, John, I'll start with you. Do you think that he doesn't have the market he thought he would get, the years, or why would a player come out and say, hey, I'm open to playing other positions? That's a little bit of a red flag with the market in my mind.
Yeah, I think you're all over it. If a player's saying that they'll move somewhere, it's got to be just the market doesn't look as sweet as you think it would be. Think it would have been. I don't think there's much more beyond that. I mean, with how analytical the game has moved to over the past 10 years, I think that teams look at these defensive metrics that nobody looked at 10, 15 years ago, and considering his range, his outs above average, his defensive run saved, all that nerdy stuff. I think it really plays a factor when teams are evaluating a player now. So I think he did the right thing putting that out there, but at the end of the day, I don't think that that's going to kind of come into effect when people start talking dollars with him.
Nick, do you think that comment benefits Team Red Sox, or is this going to just lead to nowhere anyway?
I mean, the current theme is it'll lead to nowhere. We're being hopeful here and telling John Henry to open his checkbook and make it happen. I do think that if you think of it on Bo's case, why just say that you're a shortstop? If some other team's going to swoop away and come and grab you and have you play second base or whatnot, wouldn't that add more teams and probably up the value of whatever your contract's going to get? So I think it's a smart PR move on him too, or him and his agent, to say, hey, don't just lock me in at short. If another team calls and wants me to play second, third, whatever, highest guy, I'm going to probably go to where I feel like I can win. I still think, though, at the end of the day, guys, as much as I would love to see Bo here, that's going to be a hard sell for those Blue Jays fans if they let him go. I mean, that would be taking a page out of the Red Sox book of say, oh, yep, thanks, bye, see ya. Homegrown, who cares? You're done. That would be such a Red Sox-y move by the Blue Jays, and I don't know if they're going to do that. I think they're still trying to wait it out, figure out what the market is. I think Kyle Tucker's name is one that the Blue Jays are trying to figure out what they do on that. If you come out and you see them get Kyle Tucker, they're not going to have the room to be able to bring Bo back. So I think that they're kind of waiting and seeing on a couple ends on what the next domino here is that's going to fall. I think that's why we're in a waiting game.
I mean, you would think that would be the case, but Rogers Communications is the second, or I think it's the second highest valued baseball team ownership, $19 billion, and the Red Sox are 4.5 billion in that scenario. I think the Dodgers are number one, but look, they've got the money. That's the issue. If they want to throw the money at these players, there's no stopping them. And it just really clearly is a point of whether Bo wants to try and finish off what was started there. They were very close to winning that World Series. And with the additions of Cease, I mean, you could say what you want about him, whether you like him, whether you don't, whether he's a good starter or not, or he was overpaid. The overpayment doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that the Jays are going for it. And for them, it makes a lot of sense to bring Bo back because he's so important to that lineup. So it's really nerve-wracking. It's the greatest signing I would want for this offseason. But again, it's all about we've been let down so much. There's really not much to think in terms of the Red Sox throwing their might around and getting the best players anymore. Moving right along, Wilson Contreras. We're going to have a little bit with him. He's still on the radar after missing out on Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber. Boston has been linked to Cardinals slugger Wilson Contreras as a veteran upgrade. A tough contract and no trade issues are some big questions here. Question is Contreras worth the commitment, or are the Sox better off allocating resources elsewhere to guys like Bo and Bregman and guys that we've been talking about? Nick, I'll start with you. Simply put, do you want Contreras? Do you want to do this kind of deal? Do you put him at first? Does this make you happy, or is this just another line of wasted time and talent?
Can we please stop making deals with Chaim Bloom? For the love of God, enough. I'm done. I don't want Nolan Arenado. I don't want Brendan Donovan. I don't want Wilson Contreras. I'm done. No more. No more. Goodbye. Bloom and your BFF. Goodbye. I move on to another organization, please, except for the Dodgers. I'm all set. You don't want to go down this end. I don't want it. I don't need it. Could he do something here? Who knows? He's older. He's got some numbers. I'm not going to say the power's not there, but I don't know if I want another big strikeout, lower average kind of guy. I just don't think I need that. It seems like it's a little bit redundant to maybe what you're going to have anyways with more Tristan Casas and Romy Gonzalez. So no, it doesn't move the needle for me. I'm all set.
John, your thoughts on Contreras?
Yeah, I mean, he's, as Nick just said, if he was on pretty much any other team in the league, I think I'd be more open to it. But again, it's a 33-year-old that, he year in and year out puts up good numbers, convincing numbers, hasn't shown yet, at least, any signs of regressing. And he's a phenomenal first baseman. He has, he could make any sort of play you need him to out there. But just the fact that he's on the Cardinals, I'm sick and tired of dealing with Chaim Bloom. So I'm all set on him. If he were to come over, I'd have to imagine Casas is off the roster come opening day. But then again, on his market, which there probably is none of, I don't see him getting moved. So, he doesn't move the needle for me either. He's, on the wrong side of 30, which the Red Sox have already told you they're not interested in. And then, going back to what we said earlier, we've heard about it. So is it going to happen? Probably not.
Jim, before you do your thing, can we just go over a couple numbers with him so people just don't think that we just are Bloom haters?
Sure, go right ahead.
All right. So looking at his numbers from last year, yes, he did hit 20 home runs, 80 RBIs, 257 average. On base was 344, and he slugged 447. He played 135 games as well. He also hit 30 doubles. That's something that I think would play well at Fenway. And again, he's right-handed. So if there's any convincing that anybody needs on, well, you're just a hater and you want nobody and you're just a miserable dude, that's not the case. It's just the fact that my expectations are still higher than settling for a player of this magnitude that's probably on his back nine, not the front nine of his career. So looking at also his WAR, he had a 2.5 WAR for last season as well too. He's always had a plus WAR. The season prior, it was 3. 2023, it was a 3.3. When he was an all-star with the Cubs, he was a 3.8. He has been a 3-time all-star, guys. 2018 with the Chicago Cubs, he hit 10 homers, 54 RBIs, hit 249. And then also the year prior, or the year afterwards, 2019, it was a better season overall. It was probably his best season he's had in baseball. That's when he had 24 homers, 64 RBIs, hit for a 272 average. Just the thing that's a little, I wouldn't say scary, but I'm a little wishy-washy on it, is the amount of games that he's played overall in a season. Last season was his second highest that he's ever played. He played 135. The only other season that he's played more than 130 games was in 2018 at 138 games. So there you have it, folks. There's the stats. They're right there. Now you have at it.
Look, listen, this obviously the stats don't lie. I mean, the bottom line here is that if the Red Sox, if it came around the ticker tomorrow that the Red Sox, made a trade for Contreras, I just don't want him being the number one guy, right? You don't want him being the big splash because he's far from it. And it doesn't solve enough problems. I did tweet out the other day. I forgot what the day it was, but it was before the Contreras stuff even started to really materialize, that I said that, I would not be surprised, because he has options, that Tristan Casas would be put in the minor leagues. And, outside of tendering him a contract, which they did, put him there, let him see if he can rebuild some value in the minors, but keep him in the minors, because I don't want his ass in the majors. I don't want to hear him. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear the nonsense anymore, but try to build up some value and then try to trade him, maybe during the July deadline. I think that would be the best thing that you could do with him. So anything, again, it's kind of convoluted, my answer. I don't want him. I don't want a Contreras trade to be my splash, but I don't want to deal with Casas again, or being told I need to deal with Casas again. I think that's the bigger thing. Really quickly, just want to go on 60 seconds or less. John, Edwin Diaz to the Dodgers. The rich get richer. Your thoughts?
It's a guy that didn't want to play in New York anymore. The Mets came in with an offer that was $3 million less for the same amount of time. I think that the Mets had more money in deferrals than the Dodgers offered, if they offered any money in deferrals for Diaz. In every facet of the game, the Dodgers were among the top of the league in last year, except for relief pitching. So the Tanner Scott experiment hasn't worked out this far, and they just keep on adding to it.
Nick, I know what you're doing, because I'm going to ask you the same question. Your thoughts, Edwin Diaz to the Dodgers? Exactly it. He called it. It's on our show, and it's on his Twitter feed.
It really helped. It really helps my ego, though, folks, when you keep replaying that and you just keep giving me the views and stuff like that. Keep liking it, resharing it, do all those things too. I'm sick. I know. I'm sorry, fans. I'm sorry. I'm a sicko. But I was not surprised. I was not surprised in the least bit. I think it's a great fit for him, and the Dodgers had the opportunity. So if you're the Dodgers, of course you're going to do that. You just strengthen your closing position and become now a whole new force. Good for them.
The World Series champions, who are light years above you, Boston, go ahead and add one of the premier closers in the game. So they up their game while you're sitting playing patty cakes with Sonny Gray.
Oh, I wanted to say something. You did say Terry the Toad. I wanted to come on and say Terry the Load, actually. I think that's what you meant, right? When you said it earlier, Terry the Load, as in Load.
Yeah, my mic My mic hasn't been working too well today.
My ears must not have been on or loud enough at the beginning.
60 seconds, Nick. Cody Bellinger came out today. Well, I would say it's probably Scott Boras came out today. And he wants $400 million. He wants Kyle Tucker rumor money. 60 seconds.
I want $500 million.
Yeah. 60 seconds. Your thoughts?
It's ridiculous. A guy that was almost out of baseball. Congratulations. In the past couple seasons, you've reinvented yourself and you find your swing again. But what are we smoking here? Must be the hard stuff that he brought out for this one. This is brutal. $400 million? You serious? The Yankees have got to be laughing their you-know-what's off right now. Goodbye. See you later. Thanks for the season. We're all set. Because Cody Bellinger, I mean, let's be real. He could get the money, and then he could fold again and be back to not being the player that the Dodgers wanted anymore and almost being out of the game. So it's unreal. Unreal, that dollar figure. It's sick.
John, 60 seconds. Your thought on Bellinger?
Good luck getting that. If anybody's going to give him that type of money, it's going to be the Dodgers, and 350 of it's going to be deferred money. So, I mean, good for you if you get it. I don't think you're going to get it. And if anybody's paying it to you besides the Dodgers, I hope it's the Yankees, because then it's just going to put them in a shittier situation than they have been in.
Yeah, I'm on the fence, whether I want the Yankees to take him back on any kind of exorbitant contract or not. On the one hand, it causes them to spend a lot of stupid money on a player and, takes them out of the running, hopefully, for other players that may come along the pike, whether it be now or in the, recent future. The other side of it is that if you take him off the Yankees, you make the Yankees weaker. And it doesn't seem like they're in a real good position right now, based on Hal's comments, to try to go out and replace a bat like that. I don't see them going out and offering, Kyle Tucker the money. I mean, the Yankees of the 2000s would do that. They would go out and give that money to Kyle Tucker. But this isn't your daddy's Yankees anymore. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, if all fails, they have the poster child, Spencer Jones, and his 50% strikeout clip in AAA still waiting to come up.
Exactly. Before we end tonight, any final takes? Nick, I'll start with you.
Yes. On my shows that I've typically done on my other pod, Face the Facts, which I haven't done because this one is so much better than what I used to do back then. Right around this time, we all know it's Christmas time and everything, but I always ask this question. My question here to you guys is this. You want one present under your Christmas tree from the Red Sox. What would it be? Let's go to John first.
Yeah, I think
one
right
choice,
now,
one gift. That's all I could afford this season. One gift. Cheap Santa.
Put me on the spot here. I'd have to go ahead and say, give me Bo Bichette. Just what he could offer a team, how much of a needle mover he is. I think that'd be the biggest splash that you could make at this point. So if I could only have one thing, definitely Bo Bichette.
I'll take a Bo. We'll wrap it up nice for you too. Jim.
I see what you did there. I got to give the same answer. I mean, look, Bo Bichette is the only guy that makes the most sense for the Boston Red Sox in terms of their defense. Then they need an infielder. Their offense, they need a reliable early lineup bat. In other words, I put him probably second right after Anthony. And they need young talent. And they are so risk averse to anyone that is what they consider aging. You're Pete Alonso at 31. So Bo Bichette ticks all those boxes that you're complaining about. He's a 27-year-old multi all-star middle infielder that makes contact, doesn't strike out a ton, hits for some power. There's a lot to like there. And if you have to sign him to a deal that is sort of uncomfortable, you're going to be able to get him for his prime years. You will not be paying for past performance. And Andrew Friedman of the Dodgers clearly said that if you think rational with free agents, you will finish third in getting them.
I definitely would go with Bo as the player on that list. But, if you haven't noticed, I've really stepped up my game because, I wasn't good enough to go on to another show's main crew. So I really wanted to bring my A game tonight to make sure my professor understood that I know what I'm talking about and everything. But I choose under my Christmas tree the selling of the Boston Red Sox by John Henry. That would bring tears of joy to me. And I would probably run around my street thrilled beyond belief that we don't have to stomach anymore of cheapo John Henry and we can move on from misery. That would be what would be under my Christmas tree. A nice for sale sign.
That's an awesome take. Before I wrap up, just want to put this out here. The Diamondbacks, under the previous front office, had an opportunity to draft Alex Bregman with the first pick in 2015. They wound up going with Dansby Swanson instead, allowing the Astros to grab Bregman at number 2 overall. And what number does Bregman wear?
I don't know, JJ. You tell him.
Number 2. And he does that because he's ticked off. So it'd be a very interesting turn of events if he went to that, if he went that way. Last but not least, a couple comments. Let's see here. We have Eric O'Birds 4127. You are the best YouTube ever. I'm glad that people finally realize that.
All my friends tonight. Thank you.
Yeah. Ada Silver wrote hello back to you. Brennan Prado also wrote hello. And you having a good day? Yes, we are.
I think it was a bunch of spam bots tonight.
It sounds like it. Breaking news: Red Sox signed Jacoby Ellsbury to minor league contract.
I can't wait. He'll be hurt the first day.
Good luck, Jacoby, on your return to the game and so forth. So that about ends the comments, as they were all a bunch of baloney. That's going to wrap it up for tonight. I'd like to thank Nick and John for being on. Please go ahead, if you are not a subscriber, and visit our website at redsoxdigest.com. We have articles that are written and sent to your inbox free of charge. You can also donate to the cause, and you can actually get live appearances on our show. Not that anybody would want to, but we would give that to you or force you by all methods needed. But go ahead and sign up. During the season, we have daily recaps of the games in only the sarcastic and savage way that we know how. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you on the next show. Hopefully it's very soon or whenever the Red Sox decide to open up that checkbook. Have a good night.